and welcome to my increasingly ridiculous journey through bad shark movies available on Tubi. In this week's bad shark movie, I watched Sand Shark, which is a 2011-2012, depending on where you look on the internet, film directed by Mark Adkins and produced by Scott Wheeler. Scott Wheeler being responsible for the effects for a number of the Sharknado films, at least 2 through 5, maybe some of the others. He also directed Attack of the Killer Donuts and Avalanche Shark, which is considered to be an indirect sequel to this film, and I will be reviewing momentarily. So Sand Shark, getting off to would I recommend it or not? Actually, I would say yes. I think this is definitely one of the better shark movies. It's clearly making fun of Jaws, and I thought it was pretty bad, but also very humorous. And if you're familiar with Fire Festival, this movie seemed to be a little ahead of its time. and now to break down some of the plot as well as some of the quotes that I thought were pretty great. Obviously spoilers. So we have a couple main characters. We have the sheriff, John, his sister Brenda, this wealthy son of the mayor, Jimmy, who is in town because he wants to make money, but also to help the town. This is a small town called White Sands, which is a spring break town, but they're losing money. So he's trying to throw this festival, the Sandman Festival, to bring people in. John, the sheriff, mentions the last time Jimmy threw a party, 15 people died. Kind of want the backstory on that. He also used to date Brenda and left her in a very precarious situation, so the police really don't like Jimmy. And the other, main characters would be this gentleman who's basically a ripoff of Quincy from Jaws. He has this wonderful line of, "It's a sand shark that's big because it ain't a sand shark." So if you're not familiar, sand sharks do exist. That's a real thing, but they're very, very little. These are basically supposed to be like sharks that have evolved to be able to swim underground in the sand. So it's basically like kind of a mix between a great white and almost like a graboid. Like the effects aren't great, but the design I thought was pretty interesting, where they have these kind of like really rough, like hide-like skin that would make it so that they're able to shift into sands pretty easily. And the last main character would be, I didn't write a name, I guess. I just wrote Sexy Shark Doctor, who likes Roger Corman. She says, "Don't go getting all Roger Corman on me." So I'm assuming Mark Adkins is a fan of Corman, and I respect that. Because I'm me. So basically, Jimmy wants to throw this party, the Sandman Festival, to bring money into the town so that he can get money for himself, because he's a greedy kind of yuppie dude. But we have, these multiple sand sharks swimming in the sand that are eating people, so that's not great. We get a kind of an inverse in our expectations, where the mayor actually wants to close the beaches because it's a danger to the public health and safety and such, but then he's eaten by sharks, so that doesn't happen, and they throw the festival anyway, and a bunch of people died. And that's basically the plot of the movie, because it's a shark movie, not a lot there. We have Quincy shows up at the end to try to help people, but ends up getting killed because he's Quincy. I did actually really like how they decided to capture the sharks. So basically, if you're unfamiliar, if lightning strikes sand, it turns to glass, which I think is really cool. So they decide to set a very, very hot fire and lure the sharks to that area. So when the sand is burning at such a high temperature, it will turn to glass and trap the sharks. Isn't that kind of cool? Like, I think that's a really, really smart way to do that. Although it really sucks for the sharks. Oh well. Yeah, that's basically the plot of the movie. Jimmy kind of saves everyone. But you're treated throughout the film to just honestly such great lines. Like, "We're stuck between a rock and a shark place. Eat this, you sand of a bitch. And we're gonna need a bigger beach." Honestly, fantastic. I mean, it's a fine movie. Would recommend. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Moving on to Avalanche Shark, which is a 2014 directed by Scott Wheeler, who, as I said earlier, is responsible for a number of shark films, and I, for one, thank him for his service. off the gate, would I recommend this movie? Not as much. It's fine. Like, if you really want to watch it, I would say go for it. But like, in terms of like bad shark movies, it was just sort of there. I didn't think it was very interesting. I was kind of bored during it. So spoilers, I guess. This movie asks the question, can a shark eat a truck? It doesn't answer it. So I guess I'll be left wondering, can a shark eat a truck? So basically, there is a mythos called a mythological entity in some native cultures called a skookum, and how they describe it in the film is that there are these. So there's this. It's another movie that takes place during spring break, but I'm assuming like most people don't go skiing during spring break. I've never been skiing, I don't know, but this is basically like a vacation town, and during spring break people have come here to go skiing at a resort. There's also some people who are doing some experiments, and they detonate some explosives which cause these logs to dislodge from the position they're in, and it turns out the position they're in was very specific because it was, I guess, like I don't know, like not a spell, but it was there to keep the skookums asleep. So when they did that, it awoken them. And how this is something that exists in like, it exists. This mythology was not created for the film. This is a pre-existing mythology, but it is very different in how it exists outside the film. For the film, they basically created like what I called shark yetis. That's not what they look like. They just look like the sand sharks. I guess Scott Wheeler just kind of reused his visual effect from that movie and put it in snow. Again, very Tremor 6. But yeah, basically that allows them to awaken, and then they start killing people, and that's the plot of the movie. People get eaten in the snow. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of funny. There's some good lines like, "Are you crazy?" To which the guy responds, "I'm not crazy. I'm a Marine." And when they think the shark's gone, she's like, "I'll bet my life the shark is gone." To which this guy replies, "Cool, cool, cool. Not my life." And then she wants to go back to the resort to get their stuff. And the guy, he's been attacked by the shark. He's like bleeding and stuff, and he just wants to go. And he's like, "Who needs stuff? I'll buy you new stuff." And honestly, I'm with that guy. Also, he does die. The Marine lives, and there's like 3 blondes that survive with him. And they're have varying degrees of stupid. All the characters are, but especially him. He was just the Marine, he was just so blasé about the fact that the mountain ranger was like bleeding out on the floor because they didn't get along, so he was basically just using him as bait. It's kind of messed up. But yeah, the movie was just kind of boring. And it really said, can a shark eat a truck? And never even let the shark try to eat the truck. Why? Let the shark eat a truck. Let the shark have a truck. Sharks deserve trucks. Yeah. I don't know why this is necessarily considered an indirect sequel to Sand Shark, because when I was watching it, I was trying to look for like if someone was supposed to be like the same character or anything like that. They both take place during spring break, although obviously very different locations. And they are both they're both about sharks that swim underground instead of in water. I think the only reason why it's considered an indirect sequel is because, you know, Scott Wheeler worked on both of them, and there's a line in Avalanche Shark where the ranger asks or wonders if they're sand sharks, or says he heard something about sand sharks. So I guess it's referenced like as in Sand Shark exists in the same universe as Avalanche Shark. But other than that, there's really no similarities. And now I want a Shark Yeti movie. I know there's a Shark v Bigfoot movie. I have that saved. I'm excited to watch it. But there's no Shark Yeti movies. And honestly, there should be. Okay, well, that's all I really have to say about these movies. I don't know why you watched, but if you did, like Scott Wheeler, I thank you for your service. Have a good day. If you have any shark movies you'd like to recommend, let me know. I'll give it a go. Bye.